Welcome back to our 5th Food Sensations session in the series. I'm Vanessa and this is Rachel, and today we'll be discussing breakfast. We'll be talking about how breakfast is the most important meal of the day, as well as discussing Foodbank WA's school breakfast program. We'll be giving you some new and old breakfast ideas, as well as discussing breakfasts from different countries around the world. Our recipe today will be hash browns with a chili corn salsa. As you know, Rachel and I are from Foodbank WA, and we're just going to give you a quick overview of our services.
So Foodbank WA is a not-for-profit organisation that's been operating since 1994. As well as having our Perth branch in Welshpool, we also have regional ones around the state in Mandurah, Bunbury, Albany, Kalgoorlie-Boulder and Geraldton. Foodbank works as a link between the food industry and people in need. So basically we get food donated to us from various organisations, and then different community groups and welfare agencies come and buy it off us at very low cost so that they can hand it on to people in need. As well as our food relief services, we also have our Healthy Food for All programs, one of which is Food Sensations. So Food Sensations is an interactive nutrition and cooking workshops. These are based in schools, both primary and secondary schools, and we also have our adult-based program as well, where we go out to local community groups such as parent groups, new migrants and Indigenous peoples, and talk to them about healthy eating on a budget. So this adult food literacy program we're actually running in conjunction with the Cancer Council and the Red Cross.
We'll be discussing today why we eat breakfast and why it is so important. Because often when you wake up in the morning, you've been asleep for 6 to 8 hours and you haven't actually had anything to eat. So getting up in the morning and having something to eat and drink actually helps to break your fast, hence the word breakfast. So it's not only to kickstart your metabolism, but it also refuels your body and your brain to get started for the day. So there are many benefits to actually eating breakfast. People actually eat breakfast are less likely to be hungry for the rest of the day, and that's quite important. It actually can lead you, if you skip breakfast, to actually snack on less healthy foods later in the morning, and then you might miss out on nutrients that you should have had earlier in the day. Also, it has been found that people who eat breakfast are less likely to be overweight. So also refueling your brain and body in the morning actually can improve your mental performance, your concentration and your mood. And this is really important for children, especially when they're going off to school.
So one of our other Healthy Food for All programs is our school breakfast program. So basically the school breakfast program supplies free breakfast foods to schools so that they can provide breakfast to students before school starts. So the reason the school breakfast program started was because we had principals and teachers that identified that they had children that were turning up to school hungry and having trouble concentrating in school, so Foodbank WA started the breakfast program. So we now actually have 400 schools across Western Australia, and we provide 50,000 breakfasts a week to over 15,000 students across the entire state. So apart from the obvious benefits you get in terms of nutrition and health, the school breakfast program actually has a few social benefits as well. The school breakfast program provides a space where students can actually socialise before school starts. And also some of the schools actually run other programs in conjunction with the school breakfast program, such as reading programs or other programs like that. But we've also had reports from schools that on the days that the school breakfast program's running, they actually find that the children are able to concentrate better in class and their behaviour is actually a lot better as well. So on these days they often say that there's less children being sent off to the principal, or they're just not having to discipline as much in the classroom.
So I'm just going to explain to you what products are available free of charge through Foodbank. So we have 7 core foods that are available. So that's wheat biscuits, we've got canned spaghetti and baked beans, canned fruit, as well as UHT or long life milk, Vegemite and oats. So schools that are able to access a Foodbank WA branch can actually get extra foods as well. They can buy yogurt and other dairy products, as well as fresh fruit and vegetables, and also bread. So schools are able to buy these, as I said, from the Foodbank branches, and all food supplied is actually meets the healthy food and drink policy set out by the Department of Education. Since it's often difficult to actually get fresh fruit and vegetables to remote schools and remote communities, we actually offer some UHT orange juice, and that's available free to remote schools. And this actually provides vitamin C to students, which is fairly important, especially in the fight against disease and things like that. So if your school is not a member of the school breakfast program, please feel free to contact Food Bank, and then we can assist you as to becoming registered with Food Bank.
So while the title of today's show is More Than Toast and Cereal, these are great breakfast ideas, and we're just going to go through a few now. So when you're picking a breakfast cereal, it's really good to try and find one that's high in fibre and low in sugar. So we're just going to go through a few examples of these and where they fit into the food pyramid. So some really good breakfast cereals that you can have are things like bran flakes, or any sort of bran-based cereal. Good old wheat biscuits. Porridge is a really good high fibre, low sugar breakfast that you can get. And then also something like a natural muesli can be a really good basis for a breakfast as well. You'll also note that especially things like your rolled oats and your wheat biscuits, these are actually often really cheap breakfast cereals as well. So not only really healthy for you, but really cost effective. But not all breakfast cereals fit into our breads and cereals group. So if they're really high in sugar or they're quite low in fibre, then they actually go to the top of the pyramid. So examples of cereals that actually fit up the top are things like your Cocoa Pops, Fruit Loops, and also you might be surprised to know that Nutri-Grain is actually counted as an Eat Least cereal.
So as Rachel was talking about the sugar in cereals, sometimes it can be a bit tricky to decide which is a healthy cereal and which is not. So as Rachel said, that Nutri-Grain is quite high in sugar. So by looking at the nutrition information, we can find out that Nutri-Grain actually has 32 grams of sugar per 100 grams. So basically over a third sugar. And Sultana bran has 23 grams of sugar per 100 grams. So basically over a fifth sugar. So in deciding that cereal is healthy or not, you can actually just look at the ingredient list on a packet. You can work out if the sugar is coming from added sugar or natural sugar from fruit. Ingredients are listed in order from most to least according to the weight of the ingredients. If sugar comes before fruit, then there is more sugar than fruit in the cereal in terms of weight. That can sound a bit confusing, but you know, if you read the packet and you see the ingredient list and sugar is before fruit on the list, you know there is more added sugar than fruit. So, and if it's the other way around, you know there's more fruit than sugar. So it can be a bit confusing. So with the sugar, you're also getting, when you're looking at fruit in cereal, you're also getting the vitamins and minerals and fibre from the fruit if you had that added rather than just straight sugar. So you're better off buying a whole grain cereal with fruit than one of those sugary cereals that we talked about earlier.
So as I mentioned before, we had a chat about what the low sugar, high fibre cereals are. These are often quite plain cereals though, but you can choose foods from your Eat Most foods to help flavour them. So they're a bit more exciting for your breakfast. So things like fruit, so whether this is fresh fruit, so things like bananas, you might want to pop in something frozen fruits, so something like some frozen berries that you've thawed out, or of course you can have fresh berries if they're in season. Canned fruit can be a really good option to pop on your breakfast cereal in the mornings. If you can, just try and get the canned fruit in a juice as opposed to a syrup. Other things you might want to put in there are some dried fruit. Again, that's just going to give you a nice bit of sweetness and a bit of texture to your cereals. Or if you're not really wanting to put some extra fruit on there, even things like nuts and seeds. So things like pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, linseeds. You can get lots of different seed mixes out there now. So these are actually fit in as a eat some food. So they're also a good way that you can flavour your breakfast cereal and also give it a bit more crunch and texture.
As well as the usual slice of toast, there are other types of breads that you might want to use and eat at breakfast time. So we've got the wholemeal or grainy bread. English muffins are another type of bread as well as a bagel. We've got some grainy crackers, crumpets, as well as fruit toast. So any of those things are high in fibre and can give you lots of carbohydrates for breakfast. So any of these things topped with avocado or other sorts of tomato, banana, things like that are quite healthy as well. Another thing I just wanted to talk to you guys about was actually these sort of high fat things that people might eat at breakfast time that aren't so healthy. So we're looking at things like croissants, which I'll put up at the Eat Lee section, as well as donuts. And we've got some other pastries, Danish pastries. So those sorts of foods are really high in fat and really wouldn't give you much or many nutrients at breakfast time. So you're better off sticking with the other breads that we mentioned before.
So as Vanessa mentioned, while you've got lots of different options in terms of your breads, you can also have a bit of variety on what you're putting on your bread. So while sort of, I guess, more usual toppings such as your jam, peanut butter and Vegemite, they can be really good, quick and easy toppings for your breads for breakfast. There are other things you might want to try if you've got a bit more time. So we've got some baked beans or spaghetti on toast, which can be a really good breakfast. Poached eggs on toast is really good. And as you can see in the picture there, we've actually got some steamed green vegetables in there as well, so some steamed spinach. So that just provides a few more vegetables in your diet to get you 5 a day. Mushrooms on toast is another good one. The next one over, you can see there we've got some salmon with a low-fat cheese dressing. That's actually on some crackers. So again, just using something other than your normal sliced bread. And then as Vanessa mentioned, avocado on toast is a really good start to the day as well. And you might want to put a bit of tomato or something on there too.
So sometimes you might think that you don't have time for breakfast. The kids get up late or you're in a hurry, so it's really good to have breakfast on the go. So toast is always something you can eat in the car or walking to the bus or on the train. But other ideas are things such as fruit smoothies. So they can be whipped up using milk and some fruit quickly and put in a cup. Also a tub of yogurt, that's another really handy idea. Some fresh fruit, so anything like taking an apple, a banana, any sort of fruit with you as well. And a trail mix, so looking at having nuts and seeds and things like that together, that's a really good protein source. And boiling eggs the night before can sometimes be a good way of having a quick healthy breakfast as well. So as you can see, I've taken foods mainly from the Eat Some group here, where we focused on the cereals and things from the bottom section, but it's fine to have a bit of dairy and giving you a protein source in the morning as well as some carbohydrates. So in just summing that up, so making a fresh fruit smoothie with any types of fruit that you have around the house with some milk, a tub of yogurt, any sort of fresh fruit that you can take on the go, making up a trail mix in the cupboard already, so you can just grab a handful or a small Snaplock bag full, and having a boiled egg on toast, so boiling the eggs night before and just having them on toast in the morning. They're really quick ideas that can provide you with the energy and foods that you need in the morning.
So far we've sort of been talking about, I guess, mostly sort of what's typical Australian breakfasts. But what we're going to do now is quickly look at some breakfasts from different countries around the world. The first country we're going to have a look at is Iran. So in Iran they often have something like a naan bread with butter or jam. But I guess if you're wanting something a bit more substantial, a sort of more traditional Iranian cooked breakfast is halam, which is a mixture of wheat, cinnamon, butter and eggs cooked with some form of shredded meat, usually in a great big pot that the whole family can dig into. So you can have this either hot or cold.
Another country we're going to look at is Germany. So Germany, for breakfast, they usually have some wurst, some local cheeses and freshly baked bread with a strong coffee.
Over in Turkey, they often have a few little dishes that they eat communally. So they might have a few different varieties of cheese, some butter, eggs, olives, tomatoes, cucumbers, and then some jam and honey, or maybe some spicy meat, so people can just pick and choose what they like for breakfast.
So China, there's a few different varieties that people from China may have for breakfast. So they often consist of rice with small amounts of vegetables, meat or fish. In many parts of China they actually have dim sum, which is enjoyed in the morning. Congee is a rice-based porridge. It can also contain a variety of ingredients such as meat, vegetables and herbs.
Meanwhile, over in Ghana, they quite often might have for breakfast a sort of savoury dish of beans and rice. So as you can see, all around the world people can have quite different breakfasts, some of them savoury, some of them more sweet-based.
So just tips for a healthier breakfast. So it's really a good idea to add some fruit to flavour cereals with instead of buying the high sugar cereals. Get the plainer cereals and flavour with fruit and cinnamon instead of sugar or honey. So try the whole grain or wholemeal varieties of bread as well as poaching or boiling eggs instead of frying them, just to reduce the fat intake of that. Also, when you're buying bacon, if you like bacon, you can actually buy a shortcut bacon, or making sure that you actually trim the fat off the bacon. You can also microwave bacon in between paper towels, which is a healthier option as well.
Another good way to reduce your saturated fat intake is by using avocado, low-fat cheese spreads, or a plant-based spread such as olive, canola or sunflower spread instead of butter. Just to remember that, because saturated fats are the ones that can cause your cholesterol levels to go up, so it's good to reduce these just to prevent any heart disease in the future. When you are putting on some of those sweeter toppings onto your toast, it is good to try and have a thin spread if you can, just to keep the sugar levels down a bit. So the idea is that you put enough on there to get the flavour, but you're not putting a great big thick spread on there. And then finally, if you are having a cooked breakfast at home, because everyone does like these every now and then, just try and use those lower fat cooking methods such as baking and grilling instead of frying your food in oil. That's always a good way to keep the fat levels down a bit more.
So hopefully today we've given you some good tips and good ideas for a healthy breakfast, and just wanted to make sure that you guys know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day and also helps you boost your metabolism as well as giving you energy.
Thanks Vanessa for all those helpful tips on how to make breakfast healthier. We'll be back shortly to prepare our recipe of hash browns with a chili corn salsa. Welcome back. We're now going to prepare our hash browns with a chili corn salsa. As per usual, just a couple of things before we start. It's important that you wash your hands properly before you do any food preparation. And as usual, just be careful with any hot pans or sandwich presses and anything like knives. Make sure they're just kept away from any little hands that might be in the kitchen. So first of all, we're just going to go through the equipment that you need for your hash browns and salsa today. So we've got a couple of bowls, glass bowls for mixing and serving up our salsa. We've got a grater, a spatula, a nice big spoon to mix up your batter, a knife, a tablespoon measure, a vegetable peeler, a chopping board, and then today we're actually going to cook up our hash browns using a sandwich press, but of course you can also use an electric fry pan or just a normal fry pan on the stove top, just whatever you've got handy at your house. So Vanessa's just going to go through the ingredients now.
Okay, so we've got lots of nice fresh ingredients today. So we've got ingredients for the hash browns as well as ingredients for the chili corn salsa. So for the hash browns, you just need 2 potatoes, a brown onion. We also need an egg as well as some flour, flat leaf parsley, and just some olive oil. So it's pretty simple, pretty easy. And we've also got the salsa, so we've got corn kernels. We've also got half a red capsicum and half a green capsicum, half a red onion, as well as some fresh chilies, some coriander leaves, and also some lime juice. And you can also add some salt and pepper in if you wish to.
So we've popped on our aprons and we've given our hands a good wash, and now we're ready to start cooking our hash browns with chili corn salsa. So Vanessa's just going to start off and let you know the first steps for cooking the hash browns.
Okay, so firstly, you just need to make sure you peel your potatoes. We've already grated one already, so we've got one more to go. So we just need to grate it with a coarse grater into the container here or into a bowl, whatever you've got at home.
So while Vanessa's doing that, I'm just going to start on our chili corn salsa. So first of all, I'm just dicing up half a red capsicum and half a green capsicum.
I guess with this recipe we're just using 2 potatoes, but if you are preparing or cooking for more than 4 people, you probably want to do a few more potatoes. So you can just double all the ingredients in the recipe.
So we're using a red and a green capsicum today, but there's no reason why you can't use other coloured capsicums. I guess the thing to remember is that, as we've mentioned before, it's really good to try and get heaps of different colours in your food as you're preparing it. So if you can get a couple of different colours of capsicums, that'd be really good, just to get all those extra vitamins that you get attached to different colours in your food.
So when you grate the potatoes, a lot of liquid actually comes out of these. So we need to actually squeeze those out. But first of all, I'm just going to cut half an onion as well. You can actually grate the onion if you want, but I find that can be a bit tricky and can make you cry more than chopping it. So it says 1 small onion in the recipe, but we're just going to use half because this is quite a big onion. So we don't want to have more onion than potato. So really this is the potato or hash browns, potato fritters, whatever you want to call them. You can actually, most people have these ingredients at home. So potatoes, onion, flour, so they can be made pretty easily. So just want to chop this onion really, really fine, so there's not big bits of onion, especially if you're making it for kids. Sometimes the big chunks of onion might put them off.
So now that I've finished chopping up my capsicum, I'm just going to now just slice up half a red onion to pop in there as well. Again, just giving it another colour into our salsa. So the reason why we're making our hash browns from scratch today is because you can buy hash browns in the supermarket, but often they've got a bit of extra oil in them because they're sort of half cooked at where they manufacture them, and also because they might have quite a bit of salt in there as well. So it is good if you can to make them from scratch at home, because it just means that you can sort of control how much oil and salt and things you're adding into them.
Just going to explain what I'm doing here. So because the potatoes actually have quite a bit of moisture in them, you want to get that out. So using like a clean chucks or any sort of cloth that you have at home, you can actually just tip all the ingredients or the onion and the potato in here and actually squeeze it really hard so then all that excess liquid comes out. Because if all this excess liquid is left in the mixture, the hash browns will be quite sloppy. So as you can see, that is quite a bit of moisture coming out of those potatoes. So once you've given these a good squeeze, you can then actually just pop it in another bowl. Get rid of this. You can do it over the sink at home, but I don't have the luxury of a sink.
So the onion's been popped in the bowl there with the capsicum, and now I'm actually just chopping up a fresh green chilli. So we're using green chilli today, but if you have got access, you can actually use pickled jalapenos or any other chilies that you've got available to you. And obviously this will give the dish a little bit of heat, so if you don't want anything too spicy, you can just leave the chilies out if you like.
So now we've got that quite dry potato and onion in this bowl, so we're just going to mix in 1 egg, as well as the tablespoon of flour. And I've just got to give this parsley just a bit of a chop. So if you like other herbs, you can put other herbs in, but we're just going to use parsley today. So this recipe will make about 8 portions. So that's probably enough for, a couple each for a family of 4. I'm just going to pop that in too. And I'm just going to add a little bit of pepper for some seasoning. And a little bit of salt as well. So sometimes you can add a little bit of salt to your food when you're cooking, and that can actually stop people putting more on after they're cooked, because a lot of people do put salt and pepper on without tasting their food, and sometimes it's quite unnecessary and just a habit. So just give this a good mix. Make sure the egg and the flour is mixed through.
So at this stage we've got our capsicum, onion and chilies in with our salsa, so I'm just going to pop in the corn kernels that we've rinsed and drained off. And now I'm just chopping up some fresh coriander leaves to pop in there as well.
So we're using the sandwich press today, but you can use an electric frying pan or a frying pan on the stove to cook these. But we're going to give the sandwich press a whirl because that will cook the top and the bottom at the same time, so then should reduce the cooking time needed for the potato.
So as you can see, you can use a sandwich press for lots of different things, not just toasted sandwiches, which most people use them for. We cook lots of different patties and things using our sandwich press. We do like canned fish and potato patties, all sorts in there. So don't forget you can use it for things other than just toasted sandwiches.
Alright, so we've just continued mixing that till it's all thoroughly mixed through. So once again, it's just 2 potatoes, an egg, a tablespoon of flour, a half an onion or a small onion, and some flat leaf parsley. That's all we've used here. So I'm just going to make up the patties, just scooping a little bit out. So you can make them as big or as small as you want them. We're just going to do some little ones today. So I'm just going to squash them together. So just making sure it's like a patty. So squashing it in your hands, making it sort of flattish so they cook quite quickly. Where are you up to, Rach?
So I'm just finishing off our salsa now, so we just need to pop in our chopped coriander leaves. And then for a dressing for the salsa, we're just going to put in a tablespoon of lime juice. So you can either use freshly squeezed lime juice, or today we're just using this lime juice here.
So this should make about 8, I'd say.
So now we've got all our ingredients in our salsa, so just to recap, so we've got a green and a red capsicum, some red onion, some canned corn, coriander. We've popped a little bit of fresh green chilli in there today, and then for the dressing we've just popped some lime juice and olive oil in there. So that is pretty much all done, the salsa.
That looks yummy. Alright, so just finishing off this, and then Rachel's going to actually just spray the sandwich press with some olive oil or canola oil spray, and then we're going to pop these on the sandwich press.
So we just want to put a really thin spray on there, or if you've got a good non-stick pan, you probably don't really need to put any on at all. So I'm just going to pop these on.
So this is actually a quick, easy idea that kids can make for themselves as well, with minimal ingredients, and maybe just need some help with the cutting of the onion, but it's actually quite a simple recipe.
Alright, there we go. So I'm just going to pop the lid down, and these should just take a few minutes to cook through.
So probably not going to pop the lid right down, just above it, so it's just touching the top so they don't get squashed too flat.
Our hash browns now have been in the sandwich press for a few minutes. We're just going to have a quick look and see how they're going. So as you can see, they're a nice golden brown colour, so I think they're done.
Alright.
So I'm just going to pop them over here.
They look yummy. So we're going to just serve this with a little side of salsa. So just arrange it on the plate. Thank you. So you could add avocado to this salsa as well, which would probably be a nice addition. So these, you could actually probably make the mixture for these hash browns the night before actually, and then cook them up in the morning if you wanted to have them for breakfast. So there's lots of nice colours with this. You've got a good variety of vegetables here. Putting out a little bit more salsa. So here we go, that's the recipe done. So that was cooked really quickly. So that's the hash brown with chili corn salsa.
A tasty, healthy, low-cost brunch that you can have any day of the week, really.
So as always, the recipe is available at your CRC, and also our contact details are available on the slide too. So if you'd like to give us some feedback, please phone us or email us. The phone number is 9258 9277, or email at info@healthyfoodforall.com.au. And if you want to go and have a look at our Healthy Food for All website, you're more than welcome. There's lots more recipes and other ideas on there as well. If you'd like to give us some feedback or suggestions, please don't hesitate to contact Westlink on the email westlink@rdl.wa.gov.au. We look forward to hearing some feedback from you guys.
As usual, we'd just like to thank our major funders and supporters. So our major funders being the State Government, Department of Health, Department of Education and Department of Regional Development Lands, Royalties for Regions, Telethon and BHP Billiton.
And we also have supporters. Support from Harvey Fresh, the Perth Mint, Shore Barge, Kraft Foods, the West Coast Eagles and Market City.
So our next Food Sensation program is going to be on Thursday the 18th of July, and next time we're going to be talking about and giving you tips on how to prepare healthy party foods on a budget.
So we look forward to seeing you then. Bye.
Bye.